And often our shoulders could be tight, and our necks, everyday life, everyday schlepping. And this approach that we're going to take for today and maybe the next couple of classes are part of like a series on shoulders, neck, and wrist and hands, is to explore strengthening, stability, which we're going to do in this practice today, and also mobility, and self-massage. And yeah, I think that's, oh, and stretching. So often we think that when our shoulders feel tight, that we need to stretch and massage it until it goes away. And often, I don't know about you, but a lot of people, and also me, find that all the stretching and all the massaging in the world, with all that, the tightness doesn't go away. And that's because the nervous system runs the show. So what happens is when the brain realizes that the muscles are weak, then the brain will send a message to the tissues that surround the shoulder, the neck joint, for example, that area is not stable. And it will send a message, the message is that the area is not stable because the muscles around the joint are weak. And that sends a message to the brain, and then the brain sends a message to the tissues surrounding those joints to tighten up so that we can hold our head up, right? Or we can stabilize through our shoulder joint. And that's because the nervous system is more concerned about survival, like keeping our heads up, rather than efficiency. So today we'll explore strengthening and stabilizing, because unnecessary tension and pain, to address that, is a multidisciplinary, multi-pronged approach. So we'll start off with 2 blocks. Today we're exploring shoulder spirals to acknowledge the mobility and stability of our shoulder joint. So we'll start off with 2 blocks. And 1 block will be in between your upper inner thighs, so we could hug into midline. The other block we could leave to the side for now. So like we've been talking about, all this connection down into the feet and hugging the block in. So we have this sense of stability hugging into midline. And as we turn on the adductors, we're also lighting up the pelvic floor and the core. So we're creating a sense of stability so we could explore the mobility and the stabilization and the strengthening in the shoulder joint. Because as we talked about before, sometimes the ribs like to compensate for weakness or tightness in the shoulders. Okay, so we'll start off with your left forearm across your ribs to remind the headlights of your ribs to stay facing forward and softening back. And we're going to explore our right arm. I'm not going to be your mirror right now. So explore our right arm in shoulder flexion and external rotation. So my palm's going to be facing back from my pinky side. See if you can see. And then reaching back. So you're going to start to reach back without the ribs popping out like mine want to do. And notice that you get stuck. And that's a good thing. It means the shoulder girdle is working how it's supposed to. And then at that point where you begin to get stuck, you're going to do shoulder internal rotation, and then reaching back and try to keep your chest forward, ribs forward into shoulder extension. And again, you're hugging the block in. Might feel a little bit more core engagement here, and then slowly releasing. And then we'll reverse that. So the upper arm bone is in, internal rotation. And now shoulder extension of the shoulder joint. Notice when you bring it higher, you get stuck. And then external rotation, and reach up, a little sticky, you might notice in some spots, into shoulder flexion. And then slowly releasing. Let's map that out again between our mind and body connection. So you're gonna reach up, shoulder flexion, and external rotation, palm facing towards the back. Now reach back, internal rotation, reaching the arm back behind you into shoulder extension. So you're reaching into shoulder extension, reaching back, and then release. One more time, shoulder extension, internal rotation, transition into external rotation, shoulder flexion, And then release. And then release both arms. And notice if there's any shifts or changes between the right shoulder and the left shoulder. For me, I feel my right shoulder has softened away from my right ear. Might be different for you. And let's do the other side. So the other side, we'll take the right forearm across the ribs. Make sure that right shoulder is still nice and soft. Squeeze in the block, not aggressively, just as a reminder to hug into midline. Reach the left arm up. So shoulder flexion and external rotation. Internal rotation and reach back and around. And having the palm facing upwards. So now you are in shoulder extension. Shoulder extension here and release. And again, shoulder extension, internal rotation, external rotation, reaching up towards shoulder flexion. And then slowly releasing. One more time through. Shoulder flexion, external rotation, reaching back, ribs soften in, internal rotation, and then shoulder extension, release, and reverse it. Shoulder extension, internal rotation, external rotation, shoulder flexion, and then release. Okay. Noticing again, any shifts or changes between right side, right side, or compare it to the beginning of practice. Now we're gonna go for a little walk, even though during these crazy Corona times, we're not going anywhere, but we're pretending. So you're gonna begin to swing your arms front and back and have a bend, the softness in the knees. We're going for a walk. Imagine where you wanna go to right now. Allow the one arm to swing forward and the other one back. And you can have it slow and yeah, you can slow it down and make it more intentional, or you can allow it to have a little swing if your shoulders are feeling healthy and happy there. Also get a little heart rate pumped up for 3, 2, and 1. Now you're gonna meet, you're gonna start to swing higher and higher a couple times, and you might notice the chest and ribs wanna turn, and that's okay. And then let's meet at the top, so both arms are reaching overhead. Okay, and now you're gonna have the right arm, we're gonna complete the circle, go forward, left arm back, and complete the circle. Woo. I like to think of anything I'm carrying that's not mine to carry to just whoosh, with the sound effects out through my fingertips. And again, you could do this slower, slowing it down. So one arm goes forward and the other arm back. Or again, if your shoulders are happy with it, a little bit more ballistic. For 3, 2, and 1, reverse. Get a little hang time. And this is brain training as much as it is body training. We're bringing awareness, what may seem like new neuromuscular connections. About 4 more times. We're gonna do a lot of this opposite direction fun. And then slowing it down. The arms swing, pause and notice. You can even take your hands to your heart. Close your eyes, just noticing that little internal movement buzz you created. Okay, and then you're gonna release your arms to the sides. So there's something about the muscles, if they're weak, again, the message to the brain is that the joint is not safe, it's not stable, like for the neck or shoulders. So again, the brain sends a message to the tissue surrounding the joint to tighten up. So one way to send the message, the nervous system, the brain, that the joint is safe and stable is to strengthen them, right? It's kind of like you have to work it to get like your chill, your vacation, like a factory worker punching in, working hard, get your vacation afterwards. That way, when the muscle is strong because you've added load or you've made a conscious effort to strengthen that area, doesn't need to be turned on in a point of tightness. It doesn't have to be on all the time. It knows that it's strong. The nervous system knows that the muscles surrounding the joint are strong, so it's allowed to the muscles around the joints are allowed to chill out. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna turn them on, make them work for the relaxation so they don't have to be turned, quote unquote, on or tight all the time. So it can help for some neurofeedback to make fist and straighten your arms. And we'll first explore our friends, the upper traps. Our friends, the upper traps, because one reason, it could be one reason why they're tight all the time is because they're not activated. And I think some of us have experience with contract and relax. That's the response we're going for. So making light fists, and then lift your shoulders high up to your ears, not in a non-aggressive way. So for now, you can wear your shoulders like earrings. Right? You're lifting up and pretend you're like a Sharpay, turning your head side to side for 3, 2. This is scapular elevation. And 1, and then let that go. Noticing any shifts or changes. And we'll explore with the light fist. Again, the movement of the scapula. So what we did before is elevation, depression. So do that about 3, 4 more times. I want to fire up the muscles in a balanced way so that one set of muscles is not working harder than it needs to, and then the opposite muscles are not working at all. And those muscles are probably the ones that are turned on. And then bring it to center. And now protraction and retraction. So protraction, shoulder blades apart, retraction, shoulder blades together. And be mindful that the ribs are not trying to do the work of the shoulder blades. Another 3, 2, and 1. Let's put that together. So shoulder elevation, retraction, depression, protraction. Do that 4 more times, this direction. And best you can, relaxing your jaw. And then go the other way. All right, so you could protract, depress, retract, elevate. 4 times. All right, so we're recognizing and acknowledging the circular movement of the shoulder joint. But we're kind of using square-like points for reference, but you can make it more fluid if you like. And then we'll bring it to center. Now we're going to explore the same movement, but one shoulder going forward and the other shoulder back. So let's embrace awkward. The nervous system loves just the right amount of novelty to keep things interesting and balanced. And also this brain training, it's not confusing it, but it gives it a new way of being rather than in a constant static contracted state. So first, you're going to lift your right shoulder, drop your left shoulder. So right shoulder, and then bring the right shoulder forward, left shoulder back, and then left shoulder elevates, right shoulder depress, and circle it around, right? So you're gonna have one going forward, one going back. It's okay if you're like, am I doing it? Is to have one shoulder forward, other shoulder back. I did this morning and I started off very confused. It's all about embracing awkward. And then reverse it, so it helps me to stop sometimes. And lift the opposite shoulder forward, other shoulder back, and around. You might notice this side is a little different. Light fist can help with neuroreceptive feedback. And then slowly releasing. Pause and notice any shifts or changes. So what we just did was open chain, which means the distal part, like for example, the hands are free. They're not fixed to the ground. And that it could be not as accessible with an open chain. So we're going to explore also on the ground, closed chain with 2 blocks. And you could put them at the medium setting on the ground, and we'll come to hands and knees. The blanket is for your knees. Okay, so we're going to fix one distal point of our shoulder joint, the elbows on the ground. If you need another block or two underneath, or you can take another, like a book or something underneath, but make sure they're even. And again, here, light fist, and we'll explore those scapular circles, or circle the scapula with the elbows fixed on the ground. And that could be really nice to have the elbows on the blocks, because again, it sends that feedback. You have something in which to push against, right? This dance of, what's I gonna say, of mapping out your body. So having the feedback underneath the elbow gives you a sense of where a distal part is of where the joint moves. So we'll start off first by stabilizing the spine by softening the belly and ribs in, and all that core fun that we explored the past couple of weeks. First, elevation, and then depression. Elevate, depress. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, retract, protract, retract, protract. 4 more times. Again, light fist. And then we'll put that together. So first, elevate, retract, depress, protract. Okay, elevate, retract, depress, protract. Elevate, retract, depress, and protract. One more time. Elevate, depress, depress, and protract. And then reverse that. Like, where are we? And best you can, make sure you are stabilizing through the core. So this is not cat-cow, even though my body wants to do that. 3, 2, and 1. Let's take a little pause in between. Come on, see your hands and knees, or rather to kneeling. Sit your hips towards your heels, noticing if there's more spaciousness in between your ears and your shoulders. And then let's make our way back onto our elbows. And now we're going to do the opposites. So one shoulder is going to move in one direction, the other shoulder will move one way. Okay, so it can be nice first to elevate, to start off right shoulder, depress left shoulder, retract. Okay, and then switch. Right shoulder blade depresses, left shoulder blade elevates, and then protract. Right shoulder forward, left shoulder back, retract, switch, elevation, depression, and protract. And keep doing that on that side. Embracing the awkward. I'll do 2 more in this direction. Embracing the awkward. And then reverse. So now, left shoulder elevates, right shoulder depresses, retract, switch, protract, right shoulder blade depresses, left shoulder, and then retract. Okay, and then you're going to keep going that way. And it's okay if you get confused. It's nice to be reminded that it's okay to be confused. Learning something new. Right? Teaching our nervous system a new way of being and moving in a more balanced way. And that could be confusing at times, especially in the beginning. And one more. And then slowly releasing. Let your head go. Just let your head go. Shake it out. We're also doing a lot of neck strengthening here too. We'll get more to neck strengthening next time. And then make your way to kneeling. Pause and notice. Reconnect to your breath. You might feel a little bit firing up to the shoulders. And now blocks to the side. And now we'll explore a more distal point. Right? So the elbows are distal, they're distal point to the shoulder socket, and the hands are even more distal. So we fix the distal point in a closed chain. We'll start off with our hands to the ground, beneath the shoulders, but fingertips facing out. So we also vary our distal point here. Arms are straight. And a couple times here, elevate, depress, elevate, depress. Best you can, stabilizing the core, which is something I'm always working on. Okay, then retract. Right, so the arm bones are straight, so you feel the shoulder blades coming closer in towards each other, and protract. Retract, protract. 2 more times. Okay, now circular movements here. So elevate, elevate, retract, depress, protract. Elevate, retract, depress, protract. Do that 2 more times this direction. 2 more times. And then we will reverse it. About 3, 4 more times. Now slowly releasing. And I will do the opposite shoulder. Opposite side elevates and the other side depresses. So right shoulder can elevate, left shoulder back, retract, right shoulder down, left shoulder forward, protract. And then keep doing that. And you might notice the spine kind of wants to wave with that best you can. Isolate the movement from the shoulder blades. We're going to do the wave-like movement soon, which is also not easy for me to isolate. Good. And then switch. So left shoulder and protract. Bracing awkward. 2 more times. And then we'll slowly release. Come to kneeling. Pause. There's a lot of work to work with your shoulder blades to bring that awareness. And these stabilizing and mobilizing, strengthening exercises. Okay, now we get to my favorite part, is to wave. Place the hands wider, fingertips still out. And let's first practice weight shifting here. So as you lean to the right, now keep your arms straight. There's going to be a tendency to bend the elbows. So as you lean to the right shoulder blade will elevate and retract, and then shift to the other side. Right, so you might notice the left shoulder elevates and retracts. And you might notice the opposite side depresses and protracts. So a little side to side. And then we'll exaggerate that elevation and depression a little bit more, make it more wave-like. Okay, so before side to side was mainly retraction and protraction. Now it's as if, allow the spine to get into it. You're making an infinity sign with the shoulder joints and the spine. You can let the head go if you want, or you can explore with your eyeballs, making that infinity shape. And switch directions, other way. Got a bit super awkward at first. About 4 or 5 more times this direction. And then make your way to center. Coming into a child's pose, whatever variation you like. Arms can be extending overhead. And let's do a check-in to compare our first part of class. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Coming up to standing. We could do a whole class on coming up to standing. But not right now. Okay, so taking that block in between your inner thighs to check in with the swinging of the arms like we did before. So block in between your inner thighs, softness in the knees, and swing your arms forward and back. Yeah, and then if you want, Allow the arms to circle more up to the top until they meet at the top and complete the circle. So one arm circling forward and the other one back. And then reverse. And notice maybe you feel freer in the shoulders and the neck. And let's meet center. Swing the arms until you find stillness. Again, hands to your heart. You can close your eyes again and feeling the shifts and the changes. Maybe a newer sense of lightness. Allow your breath to settle. We'll end this practice today here. First, thinking of one thing in your life that you are grateful for, no matter how big or small. And we'll end together with one cleansing breath. First, empty out all the air from your lungs. Inhale through your nose, fill up. And exhale, ha. And as always, gratitude for practicing together. May it all be of benefit to us and everybody else around us. Yay, thank you. I'm going to